So in this video, I'm going to show you the basics of how to use 2-point perspective. So I drew this using 2-point perspective. So it's mainly just using 2 vanishing points instead of 1. So in one of my previous videos, I drew these, and this was just teaching the basics of horizon line and 1 vanishing point. So you draw all the corners and everything to the vanishing point on the horizon line, like this here, or like this. So, and now we're doing 2 points. So what I did on this one is right here and right here, I put the 2 vanishing points, and I drew the corner of each building, and then I drew each side to the vanishing points. So here's another example here. This is like a little house or a little shed or something. But you can see how I drew all the lines to the vanishing points. So everything needs to go to both vanishing points from this corner here. And then I also did this one here. It's just a simple little house or something with the roof. And then this was going to be the sidewalk down here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get started. So first thing we need to do is have our ruler here. We're going to draw our horizon line. And we're going to put our vanishing points on the sides. So one way over here on this side, then one on the opposite side. So now we have our 2 points, our 2 vanishing points there. So we're going to draw the corner of one of the buildings here. We'll just draw it like that. So now, so this is going to be the top of the building and the bottom. So we'll draw a line, draw a line from the top here to this vanishing point on this side. So I'm not going to draw it all the way to the vanishing point. I'm just going to draw it as long as I want it. So we'll say maybe like right there, something like that. And then we'll do it to the bottom as well. And then we'll do the other side. So going to this vanishing point here. About like that. There we go. And then the easiest way I've found to do it is line your ruler up with this corner here and keep it at that same angle and just slide it over to wherever you want it. And there's the other side there. We'll do the same thing on this side. So you have it lined up, just slide it over. There we go. And then we can erase this outside part that we don't need. Okay, so there's one of our buildings there, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw this line down here all the way to the vanishing point on both sides, because that's going to be sort of the inside part of our sidewalk. So we have that one there, and this one here. So the 2-point perspective like this can help you with this angle where you're looking sort of at the corner here. So not only can that line be our sidewalk, but it's also the basis for the bottom of the other buildings if they're aligned with this one. So sort of like I did here, this is going to be the sidewalk, and all the buildings are sort of by the sidewalk except for these ones back in here. They're sort of staggered further back, but that is mainly what we're shooting for there. So if we go here, I'm going to put a little bit of a gap because there's going to be a little bit of an alley between them, and just draw a line vertical. So I'm going to make this one I'm going to make this one a little bit taller. So it's going to go like way up here. So that is going to be our corner. So like this corner here. So now this is going to be the top. We need to draw both sides to the vanishing point. Okay. And I'm just going to draw it as wide as I want it, or as long. So about right there. And what's good about having this line drawn down here is we don't have to do that again. We just have to line our roller up here, slide it over, and make our other line. There we go. And we can erase that extra there. But we do have to do it on this side here. So let's see here. Line that up with this vanishing point. I drew it a little bit longer than I wanted it, but that's better. That way we can sort of trim it off. So slide it over about there and make our line. Oh, I gotta stop doing that. Okay, like that there. And then we can just erase the extra. It's easier to erase the extra than have to go back through and draw the line again to make it longer. Actually, I'm going to use this eraser. It's a little bit easier to get in there. There we go. That's better. Okay, so basically that's what we're going to do for all these different buildings here. So I would recommend doing all the ones that are up against the sidewalk here first. So like in this one here, I would do all these buildings that are right here on the sidewalk first. That way you know how far these need to go down until they get cut off. Because if you start drawing these back here, then you'll have to draw these over those, and you'll have to erase a bunch of lines, and it just gets really complicated. So I would do all these here on the sidewalk first. And you can use this for anything you're drawing with the 2-point perspective from sort of this corner angle, like I showed at the beginning, here. So this little shed, you can use it to guide the roof and everything too. But for this, I want to do this because it gives you a lot more practice in doing it and sort of gets you used to drawing to the 2 vanishing points. And it just sort of helps you to think about how things are angled. So we'll draw another house or another building over here, and that's our corner there. We'll make it a little bit longer that way. And we'll draw this corner. Oh. Well, my ruler keeps wanting to move. Okay. There we go. All right. Make it about like that. And then slide our ruler over from that corner. Something like that. And slide it over about right there. There we go. And we can erase, this is the horizon line back in through here. So we'll erase that in through here, because these are solid buildings and we can't see through them. So we don't need that horizon line back there. Go back through and touch up these lines a little bit. There we go. And you can also use these vanishing points for, like, if we wanted to do windows or doors or whatever on here. So if we wanted to do windows, I didn't do any windows on this one. I just did the simple shading on there. But if you wanted to, you could add your windows. So what you do with that is, on the corner that you draw, just mark how far apart you want them to be. So like if I wanted the first set of windows to be right here, maybe put like a little dash or something, just tiny little mark. And you would do the same as you do up here, just draw to each vanishing point. And that gives you your row of windows on each side of the building. So I'll show you on just this one here. So I put my mark right here and draw it to the vanishing point. So now we have that row of windows on this side. Now you do the same for this vanishing point. Go here into the vanishing point. See? And you'd have your row of windows on each side. And to get your vertical windows, you would just do like you do on the edges. You'd go to the corner here and slide it over however wide you want it to be. Do something like that. And you do it all the way across. But be careful with that, because you don't want to lose your corner right there. Because sometimes you do that and you get all these lines and it gets confusing. But that's how you would do that. And then we can go ahead and fill out some more of these buildings here. We'll put another one over here. And so with these buildings too, so down here, there's a little bit of a gap between the buildings. So that would be like a little alleyway or something. So you would take right here, the point where the building hits this sidewalk here, put your pencil there, and you draw just a small line to this vanishing point. So just a small one like that, because that indicates where the bottom of that building hits and the little alleyways in between there. So, and then with this one, you do the opposite. So you'd put your pencil here, but you're going to this vanishing point this way, because it's on the opposite side of this angle here, or this corner. So pencil on here and draw to the vanishing point, just that little line there. So now you have little alleyways in between your buildings. So we'll draw one over here. We'll make this one sort of medium sized, almost as big as this one, but not quite. So you want to sort of stagger your sizes because it makes it look more realistic. But if you want to, you can make them all the same size. You can just start from your corner and draw all the way to the vanishing point, and you have a row of buildings that are the exact same height and everything. I'll turn this a little bit because it's a little easier to get it right. There we go, about that far. And then here, slide it over about right there. And then, so with this one, we just have to draw it until it hits this building, because it's going to disappear behind it. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you put your pencil here in this corner, go to this vanishing point on this side, and it just barely goes like that until it hits this building there. So, and then we can erase the vanishing or the horizon line through there. And I like to try and erase all the lines that I don't need as I draw each building. That way it doesn't get real confusing. So, and then we'll do the little alleyway down here at the bottom. There we go. I got the little alleyway. And then I'll draw a building back here. So back in behind here. So sort of like these ones here, where you can't see the bottom where they touch the ground. So we'll do it like right in here. So I'm going to draw this line. And you want to try and make it where a lot of the corners don't line up. So like if I was going to draw one up here, I wouldn't want it right here because then it starts to blend with this one. You want it staggered, so maybe like right there or something. But I'm going to do this one down here, so it's a little staggered off this corner. So we're just going to draw it. It's going to be pretty tall, about right there. And since it's a little bit further back, just slightly behind these, it's not going to be quite as big. So you're going to make it a little bit smaller. Sort of like some of these back in here, and you can tell they're further away because they're smaller. So we'll make it, first we got to connect the points. So we're not gonna make this one very big. It's gonna be about like that. And we'll go ahead and connect this side over here, going down. So that's our one side there. And we stopped when we hit this one, hit this building, because it's back in behind. And then we'll connect this point to this point. All right. And we're just gonna barely, so it's just barely. And let's see here. Connect that down. There we go. We got our building back in there, and it's hidden in behind these. All right. And then we'll go ahead and we'll make one more back in there. We'll make it sort of staggered off to this right side a little bit. And it's going to be even taller, almost to the top of the paper there. And it's going to be pretty thin, like that. There we go. And now we got to connect this point over here. And we'll barely go over because it's going to be a tall, skinny building. There we go. And we'll touch up that line there a little bit. So that is the basics of how you use your vanishing point, or 2 points of vanishing point for something like this. You're at a corner, you're drawing all these buildings, and it helps you sort of guideline both of them. You can also use it for other things, like more complex buildings. So let's see here. And we'll draw our sidewalk down here. So what we're going to do with that is on this corner here, we're going to decide how thick we want the sidewalk. So I'll say maybe about here. So we're going to connect that point to the 2 vanishing points, and that will give us our sidewalk. There we go. Something like that. And so with this, we have just the sidewalk, but we actually want to do another line underneath. It gives us that three-dimensional shape. So we'll do our vertical line on the corner that just goes down barely, just about that far. Because what we're doing is we're creating this little side of the sidewalk there. So, and then at the bottom of that line, we're going to do the same thing that we just did. Connect it to the vanishing point on each side. Like that. And then if you want to put lines in your sidewalk like this, so those will go to the vanishing point as well, but they'll be the opposite. So all of the lines on this side will be going to this vanishing point. All the lines on this side will be going to this vanishing point. So we'll line up here. And so this first line I'm going to make is going to be right there. So it's going to be sort of cutting that side off. And then we'll go ahead and do this side of the sidewalk here. So it creates that little corner of the sidewalk there. And then what we'll do is on the sides, so where we made those lines, we want a vertical line like we did here on the corner, right where those lines meet. So something like this, so that it's cut on the edge here and on the top. And you'll do that for all the lines. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a few over here, and these lines, since the sidewalk is going away from us, the lines will get closer and closer together as they get further away from us. So what you'll do is you'll set your ruler on that vanishing point, and you'll draw lines, but you'll move the ruler less and less each time, so that it will make those lines closer and closer together until they're way down here where you can't even see them. So sort of like you can see on here how they're further apart here, and then they get closer and closer together until they vanish to the vanishing point. So we'll go ahead and do this here. Vanishing point on this side, and actually I'm going to do it like this so that I can see the space between the lines. So about right here, and then almost the same amount and about there. And you're just moving it just slightly less each time. And it does take a little while, and you want to make sure, take your time, because if that ruler moves very much, it will mess up your lines and your angles. About there. Alright. And then those ones back in there, you really can't see that much because they're vanishing. So, and then you have to go through and do the vertical lines on each one. So this one I'm just going to sort of sketch the lines. So that is the basics of how you use 2-point perspective. And if you go to shade, I didn't draw all the buildings on here, but if you go to shade, just decide which side or what angle you want the light to come from. So on this one I picked sort of coming from this angle here, so it was darker on the sides and it was darker further back here because the light's coming from this side over here. And so you got to just keep that in mind on every building. And it's darker down here on this side of the sidewalk as well because the light's coming from this way. Alright, thank you for watching.